Okay, I'm totally off sync here this morning. You should be able to hear me now. I've unmuted my mic. Sorry about that. So, welcome to Winged Horse Designs. I'm Donna Goodwin. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Brookings, South Dakota. And for those of you who are watching me live, thank you so much. And for those of you who are watching on replay, if you go to the description after I'm done with the live, I'll put in links. If you're on YouTube, watching on YouTube, I'll have links where you can just click on those links and you can get to whatever part of the video that you actually want to be on. Those links will also, there won't be links in Facebook, but I'll put the timestamps in there so that you can fast forward because we like replays as much as we do those of you who are live. So a couple announcements. Last week I did this card here, and during the live it went out to Paula. So congratulations, Paula. And when I do the hard, write all the names, put them in a hat, draw one out. For the replay individuals, Marcia, congratulations. And if you will private message me with your mailing address, I'll get that card in the mail to you. So let's see, what else do I have? Because I am transitioning to Facebook and most of you, or from Facebook to YouTube, and most of you are used to Facebook, I want to let you know that I still love likes, comments, and shares. When I do get to the part after, toward the end of the video, when I do the live giveaway, it pulls from comments, not likes and shares, but I still love likes and shares. And let's see, I got all my notes here so I don't forget anything. So please do like, comment, share. It helps Facebook and YouTube know what people like to see. So we'll take people who like the same type of things you typically watch, and it will push me out to them so that I can grow both of my channels. So I really appreciate all the love you can give me. And my schedule. I go live every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. I do a craft and chat every Wednesday from 11 to noon if you're local to me here in Brookings. And I do a monthly class where we do 3 cards versus 1 card on the 3rd Tuesday of every month. And that's at 10 a.m. or 2 to 4, from 10 to noon, or from 2 to 4, or from 6 to 8. So whatever works well with your schedule. And let's see. Why am I here? Because I love what I do and I want to share it with you. So I have a really fun card for you, and I'm going to switch cameras, and hopefully I can do this without making a fool of myself here. There we go. So here's what we're going to do today. This is a double fold flap. I think you're really going to like this. So I'm using my bow to kind of hold down the first flap, but if I just twist my bow a little bit, the first one opens up and I've got thank you in here. And then if you untie it, then this flap opens up. So there's your second flap. You have 1, 2, and I put some more DSP in here, and then you have your inside. So thank you. May the good you do come back to you. So that's what we're going to work on today. So I'm going to set this kind of up in the corner a little bit. And the measurements are in the description, so you won't need to write them down. And we're going to start with, we're going to use both of the stamp sets in the Fancy Flora suite. We're going to use the flowers, obviously, from this one for the front of our card. And I did a stamp off on the inside to put it behind the sentiment. And then we're also going to use the Something Fancy sentiment set. So I chose thank you, and I chose may the good you do come back to you. I just really like both of these sets. I love sentiment sets anyway. We will use some dies. We're going to use the dies for, and no, I didn't pre-cut these, so this is going to be interesting. Oh, thank you, Paula, for the clever. I actually found it from, I can't remember the demonstrator's name. I'll have to look it up and put it in comments later. So we're going to use the big flower here, and we're going to use this flower, and we're going to use some leaves. And then from the Something Fancy dies, we're going to use these 2 larger ones of this shape. for that. There's a lot of different pieces in this paper, but this is probably my favorite of the piece. So I have it out here. I haven't even cut it yet. We need some shade. I'm using soft succulent, and it measures 5.5 inches by 10 inches. And we're going to score it just shy of 4 1/4 and then at 8.5. Another piece that measures 2.5 inches or so, just basically wide enough to do the height of our die. And I'm going to fold that in half and put a good crease in it. And when we cut this, I'm going to show you how we're going to keep this flap so that it's actually a flap without being glued together. We'll need 2 pieces, one for our scraps, whatever size that may be for our flowers, and then for the inside 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have 2 other pieces here that are basically just big enough to do this piece here, to cut this piece out. So let's start with scoring this piece. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to do my first, make sure I'm working with my scoring blade and not my cutting blade. And rather than score this at 4 1/4 inches, I'm going to bring it just back a hair and score it just shy of 4 1/4 inches. Then I'm going to open up my arm, and I'm going to do my second score at 8.5 inches. And I'll set that aside because we're going to need it in a bit for cutting. And what this allows us to do is it leaves this one just shy here. It's hard to see. Let me fold it again. It leaves it just shy here so that when this folds back, it folds back nicely on itself and you don't get the bulk of it trying to compete against itself. I'll give those some good score lines and set them aside. Now let's cut our designer series paper. For this piece, we want 4 by 5 1/4, our standard piece. And then for this piece, we're going to want, if I remember correctly, it's 1 1/4 inches. It is by 5 1/4 inches. So I just need to decide how I want this pattern to go. And I think I like it this way. So I'm going to slice this into 5 1/4 inches, with this being my top. I'm slightly off camera there. Apologize for that. And we can use this piece for something else. You can't seem to figure it out. Okay, we'll work on that, Harriet. I'll talk about that toward the end in questions and answers. So do give me your questions and answers as we go along. I'm going to cut from this side. So I'm going to cut, and my trimmer has measurements on both sides. So I'm going to trim this at 1 1/4 inches. There was actually a link in a post I did, Harriet, about a half an hour ago that should have taken you straight to YouTube. I'm going to spin this because I want to cut this side off. So I'm going to spin it around and cut my 4 inches. So we're getting rid of the white and keeping all the pretty pattern here. Now we can go ahead and glue these on so that they don't grow legs and walk away, which seems to be the case for me a lot lately these days. Hopefully I can keep those from disappearing on me. Good morning, Deb. So as I was trying to say, I think before, I don't think I actually finished my comment, Harry, about how to watch on YouTube. About a half an hour ago, I did a post on Facebook that said, here's the link to watch it on YouTube. And if you had clicked on that link, it would have taken you right to the video once I was live. It would have taken you there prior to my being live and given you a chance to say, notify me. But you do have to be on your device at the time that I go live for it to give you the notification, depending on how you have your notifications on your device set up. Okay, so we can set this aside and start doing some stamping. So I'm going to stamp these flowers and these leaves that go on the front in Pool Party. And I'm going to do both of them full strength. So I'm going to start with the larger one on the background part of it. And then we'll do two of the smaller ones. Put a piece of dog hair on this stamp. He likes to join in everything. It will be covered. And this one looks like it might have had a little red on it from something before. So I'm going to clean it up a bit and stamp again because I want this pretty blue color. I don't want this kind of purplish color. So this just tells me I didn't get my stamp very clean the last time I used it. None of us have ever had that happen before, right? Oh, much better color. And I'm going to bring in the piece that we're going to do for the inside, because if I remember correctly, I did use this bigger one. I am going to stamp off and then stamp about where I believe I'm going to want to put my sentiment. So right about here, because I want it to be real pale below my greeting. Then I'm going to come in with the detailed side. Now this one, if you line up the little Steinman on the detail on top of the Steinman on this one, they'll line up almost perfectly. Oh, thank you, Terry. I always like to have somebody who will test things. So I'm going to try and do this without getting my head in the way here. So now we have some detail on that flower. Let's go ahead and do this one. And do the detail on these two. And then now we need a few leaves. So I'm going to come in with the Evening Evergreen and stamp some leaves. Oh, and you know, actually, we need to do in the background on this piece too. And I do have, or I did have, one piece cut. Oh, I even have a couple flowers cut. Not all of them, but some. So we'll bring that big one back and the Pool Party back. It works, yay. Oh, thank you, Terry, for testing that. So I'm going to stamp off again, and I'm going to stamp this so that it'll be behind the word thank you. And I'm going to bring in a mask. I've been using a lot of masking lately. A very well-used mask. Put the pool party away. Bring in the evening evergreen. I'm going to stamp off because I want it to be kind of light. And put a few leaves behind that. And then I'm going to take that mask off and stamp thank you. Right on top of that flower. Set that piece aside. Bring in, oh, we need some leaves while we're at it. We'll do these full strength. Three ought to be good. And let's stamp our sentiment on here. Give that a good back rub. And maybe a little bit darker, so we'll do it one more time. I agree, Vicki. I am so going to miss the current in colors that go away in May. Soft succulent, evening evergreen. What am I going to do without those colors? There, that's much better with it a little bit darker on top of our flower. Close up all these ink pads so I don't make a mess. And again, if you're watching on replay, you can just jump ahead or back to whatever you want. Because I'm about to show you something you may want to, if you're watching on replay, pause and watch again. I'm bringing in my mini because it's small enough for this. And with the larger of the two labels, I'm going to glue it so it's just inside this cut groove. Or not glue it, but I'm going to tack it down just inside that so that when I cut this, it doesn't cut all the way through that side and you end up with a fold on that back side. Or that one side. I shouldn't say back side. It's not really the back side. It's just the other side. So we will have to run it back and forward once or twice in order to get through 2 layers of cardstock. And my handle squeaks. I still haven't fixed that. And I'm just going back and forward and back and forward. Twice ought to be enough to get through 2 layers of cardstock. And it was enough to get through 2 layers. Take that washi tape off. And now we have a label that opens up. So there's flap number 1. We already had this one cut out, but we need to cut out the flowers. Now this piece of cardstock's too wide to go through, so I'm just going to take scissors and trim it down a bit. And then we can run these through. I know you are used to watching me cut all of this ahead of time. So when you're watching on replay, you can just simply fast forward through this cutting part. So I can fit the leaf up there. And I think I can also fit one of the flowers down here. And we can cut more than one thing at a time. Sometimes the littler one, you could really use like 2 sets of hands. Oh, that slipped through. You know what? We'll do the big flower instead. And come back to the leaves later. You're probably all wondering, why is Donna so disorganized this week? My daughter had knee surgery last week, so I had to take her to physical therapy this morning. And normally all this prep work that I do ahead of time is done, but I was with her instead. And yes, she's doing really well. Sometimes if you offset these plates a little bit, if you just offset them a little bit, sometimes it just makes them easier to go through. But you don't want your washi tape to slide off and move your die. Let's try another piece. A slightly stronger piece. There we go. We'll get these last 2 leaves cut and then we'll be able to move forward. If you've hung in there with me and haven't said, I've had enough of this and left. Those leaves that I was looking for, they fell on the floor. Whenever you know you've had something on your table just a second ago and you can't find it, it's usually on the floor. Or stuck to the back of a stamp case, or stuck to the back of an ink pad. I've had them, especially the dies, I've had them stick to the back of my Stamparatus if I set the Stamparatus on top of it, because the Stamparatus has such a strong magnet. Okay, if you've hung in there with me this far, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. We're ready to start putting this card together. So we have our inside, we have 3 leaves, we have, I got one more to cut. We need another one of these, a plain white one. Now we're ready to put things together. And now here we go. I was going to say, now the card base has run away, but here it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work on the first flat first. First flat first, that doesn't make sense. I'm going to work on this one. And I'm just going to put this on the inside, and I want this, rather than to fold from the left, I want to fold from the right. And then when I mount this on here, I'll mount this just on the one side. But first we're going to put some plain white on this, just to act as a background. That's a little bit too close to the one side. It's not stuck down there real hard. It just is a little bit awkward. And then we'll start adding in our flowers and our leaves. And I like to bring in my silicone mat and kind of dry fit everything where I want it to be. We don't want to go over this edge because that'll be at the edge of our card. But the rest of it can go over the edge, it doesn't matter. So I kind of like that. So I'm going to hold those down and put just a bit of adhesive on the back of this piece and set it down to kind of just barely tack it together. Then I'm going to add our leaves in. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the backs of these so that I can tack the leaves in. And I There we go. A little bit more of that leaf to show. Let's see how that will look on here. I think that's going to go nicely on there. Huh. I didn't think you had to have an account, Paula, to do that. We'll have to check into that. Now, when I'm putting these dimensionals on, now I'm going to make sure that I go over some of these edges and kind of anchor them together. But I also need to be aware of the fact that I don't want to go below or above there. Oh, let's just do one more in the center here. Thank you so much, ladies, for hanging in there through my disorganized Monday. If I were still in the corporate world, we could all say this is definitely a Monday. Okay, before I adhere this piece down, let's go ahead and put our inside in, and then I'm going to show you how I anchor the ribbon so that it stays. Now, if you wanted to, you could do this side and this side as well. You could cover these as well. And have lots of different sides covered. So there's a couple ways you can anchor this really pretty ribbon. And this is the soft succulent. A lot of different ways to measure it. Depends on how much you have. I like to go one for the back, one for the front, another one to come back the other side, and then the piece just so that my fat fingers have enough room to tie. You could anchor this on the back. I'm going to choose to anchor this right underneath this label. So I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive here to hold my ribbon while I'm working with the rest. Magnus is trying to join in on the fun here. I have hair. And then I'm going to flip this upside down so that I know that I only want adhesive on this side. And I'm going to put my first bead of adhesive here, and then I can open it up and I know I can go adhesive from here to here to the fold. And I'm going to put a lot of adhesive here because it's not only staying on that fold, but it needs to anchor in that ribbon. And I'm going to adhere this right, both folds right to the edge. And then when we close this card, we fold in the left, fold over the right, bring this in and tie our bow. My handy little helper, my reverse tweezers. And then we can start adjusting that bow. trim the ends. I use the bow to anchor my label down. And then a few gems. These are the Glossy Dots assortment, and this comes in Pool Party. I think it's Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, and Gorgeous Grapes. So we're going to bring in the Pool Party to go with our Pool Party flowers. And I'm going to use the smaller ones here. Although this card does have an awful lot of bulk in it already. And we'll just put a few shiny gems on here. And then finally, after all of Donna's disorganization, we have a cute little card that when we untie the bow, one flap opens up before we untie the bow. And then when we untie the bow, we can open up to the inside. So just a fun thank you card. Takes a little bit more effort, but not too much. So I am going to open it up for questions and answers. Let's see here if I can do this without. Okay, got that part going. Getting there. Okay, I am going to go peruse through the comments for your questions and see if we can do some questions and answers. So Vicki had said at the beginning that she really likes the DSP. So do I. I really love this DSP. It has a lot of different options. A lot of the pieces look like somebody just took real thick paint and pushed it onto a piece of canvas. Paula got her card from last week, so that's great. Paula likes the colors in the paper. So do I. I love these colors. And like I said, I'll look up where it was. I can't remember off the top of my head right now who I saw this from that had done the double flap, and I'll let you know where I found that from. And I believe I did answer Harriet's. I did post a half an hour before I went live with the link that took you directly to YouTube. And then Terry went out and tested it. She said it worked for her, so that's a good thing. Vicky's going to miss these colors. Oh, aren't we all going to miss these colors? These are such pretty, pretty colors. Harriet says she does replay often. So she does replay often. And Eileen says she will have to go back and watch the first part. There really wasn't a, oh, Irene, sorry. Irene, Eileen, they're twins. Close enough. There isn't a whole lot in the first part, but give me a little bit after the live is over and I'll put bookmarks so that you can go directly to the card demonstration. And Paula, I'm going to research that. Paula is saying that she doesn't have a Google account, so it wouldn't let her subscribe or comment. It doesn't seem right to me that that should be happening to you. So let me do a little research and I'll get back to you in a few days. And let's see, comments. So Vicki says, do you like the tape better than the glue? It depends. Actually, I do prefer liquid glue more often than not. I'm just running really low on it right now, and I have to sit there and really shake it to get it going. But when I'm doing something like this where I want it to, something like this where I want to hold right away, then I do prefer the adhesive over the glue because the glue takes a little while to dry and I don't want to have to sit there and hold it. And Harriet, how much longer are you going to use Facebook? I will never actually leave Facebook. I'm just trying to push my videos over to YouTube because YouTube has better options on YouTube than Facebook does. So there may come a point, I may continue to just stream to both of them at the same time the way I'm doing now, or there may come a point where you would only be able to watch the replay from the Facebook side. We'll see. It depends. My goal is to always do YouTube, but we'll see how it goes. So let's stop that. Let's go, and I will share my screen. Okay, I didn't want it that way. I really wanted this one to be first, but I wanted this piece to be large, but let's go ahead and draw from the 7 of you who are here live and see who gets this card. It's slowing down. Vicky. Wow, it really likes you, Vicky. You win this from here a lot. It really likes Vicky. So Vicky's getting today's card. And then Monday morning before I go live again, I will pull from all the replay individuals and those of you who were here live but didn't win to see who gets the second card. So we'll do that. And let's see. There we go. That's what I wanted. So I hope you enjoyed bearing with me and this week as I was totally disorganized. Oh, 3 new comments. Better go check and see what they are. It is best to pre-cut. Oh, Deb's asking, is it best to pre-cut? It depends on what you're doing. Typically, I say stamp first and then cut. But we'll see. And Teresa was tagging in late. She'll watch the replay. Give me a bit, Teresa, to pick out the chapters, and then you can go directly to the part that you want. So have a wonderful week, everyone. I will see you next Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time. Stay warm, stay healthy, enjoy your week. Happy trails.